In the final cold days of December 1980, an event of profound mystery began to unfold in the dense pine forests of Suffolk, England. This series of incidents would later become famously known as the Rendlesham Forest Incident, often called Britain's Roswell. The setting was near two United States Air Force bases, RAF Bentwaters and Airwave Woodbridge, housing personnel on high alert during the Cold War. The story began in the early hours of December 26, a day normally reserved for quiet holiday recovery. Security patrolmen near the east gate of Airwave Woodbridge noticed strange, colorful lights in the sky. The lights seemed to be descending into the dark expanse of the nearby Rendlesham Forest. Thinking it was a downed aircraft, a common fear during that tense era, a patrol was dispatched to investigate. 3 airmen, John Burroughs, Bud Steffens, and James Peniston, were sent to check on the potential crash site. They drove as far as they could until the terrain became too difficult for their vehicle. Peniston and Burroughs proceeded on foot, leaving Steffens to relay communications by the jeep. As they ventured deeper, the air grew still and an unnatural silence fell over the woods. The farm animals in a nearby field were in a state of frantic panic, making strange noises. Through the trees, they saw a light that was not from any conventional aircraft they knew. It was a brilliant, pulsating light, casting strange, dancing shadows among the pines. As they drew closer, they realized the source was an object of some kind, resting on the forest floor. It was a small, translucent craft, about 9 feet long and 6 feet high. The object was dark, metallic, and seemed to be made of a smooth, black, glassy material. It had a pulsing red light on top and a bank of blue lights underneath. The craft appeared to be either hovering slightly above the ground or resting on 3 small legs. Sergeant Peniston, a security supervisor, decided to get a closer look for his investigation. He circled the craft, taking notes and sketching its features in his official notebook. Peniston noticed a series of strange symbols etched onto the side of the object. The symbols were unlike any language or marking he had ever seen before. He felt a strange compulsion to touch the largest of these symbols. As his fingers made contact with the cool, smooth surface, an astonishing thing happened. He experienced a sudden, overwhelming flood of information into his mind. It was a stream of what he later understood to be binary code, ones and zeros. The images and numbers filled his consciousness in a matter of seconds. After this intense experience, the craft began to move. It lifted off the ground without a sound, maneuvering silently between the trees. The craft then ascended rapidly, shot into the night sky, and vanished in an instant. Peniston and Burroughs were left in the silent, dark forest, stunned by what they had witnessed. They returned to their base to file a report, which was met with skepticism. Next day, investigators returned to the clearing where the object had been seen. They found 3 distinct impressions in the ground in a triangular pattern. These depressions suggested something of significant weight had rested there. Burn marks and broken branches were also found on the surrounding pine trees. Radiation levels at the site were tested and found to be unusually high. Specifically, the readings were highest within the 3 landing depression. The events of that first night were extraordinary, but the mystery was far from over. 2 nights later, on December 28th, the strange lights returned to the forest. This time, the base's deputy commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, decided to lead the investigation himself. Holt was a no-nonsense, by-the-book officer, initially skeptical of the wild stories. He assembled a small team and ventured into the forest, armed with a micro-cassette recorder. His intention was to debunk the rumors and find a logical explanation for the lights. The audio recording he made that night would become a crucial piece of evidence, known as the Halt tape. On the tape, Halt can be heard directing his men and describing the bizarre events as they unfold. His calm, professional demeanor slowly gives way to excitement and disbelief. Team first went to the landing site from the previous encounter. Halt confirmed the presence of the 3 indentations in the ground. He also took radiation readings, confirming the earlier reports of elevated levels. Suddenly, they saw a bright, ruby-red light moving through the trees ahead of them. Halt described it on the tape as looking like an eye, winking at them. The object moved with an unnatural agility, darting between trees without making a sound. It pulsed with incredible brightness, illuminating the entire forest in flashes of red. At one point, the object appeared to drip or shed particles of molten light. The team followed the light deeper into the woods, towards a farmer's field. As they pursued it, other lights appeared in the night sky above them. These were not stars. They moved in sharp, angular patterns and changed direction instantly. Halt reported that the objects were performing aerial maneuvers at incredible speeds. One of the objects began to project a narrow beam of light down towards the ground. The beam swept across the forest floor and seemed to be searching for something. The light beam came dangerously close to their position, forcing them to be cautious. Halt even mentions on the tape that the beam was directed at the base's weapons storage area. This raised the incident from a mere curiosity to a potential national security threat. The aerial phenomena continued for over an hour, witnessed by Halt and his entire team. Eventually, the lights moved off into the distance and disappeared over the horizon. The men were left with an audio recording and a story that seemed too incredible to be true. In the weeks that followed, Halt compiled his observations into an official memorandum. This document, the Halt Memo, was sent to the British Ministry of Defence. It provided a concise, factual summary of the bizarre events of both nights. The memo confirmed the radiation readings and the presence of the unidentified aerial phenomena. For years, the incident was officially downplayed and kept from public knowledge. However, the Halt memo was eventually released through the Freedom of Information Act. Its release transformed the story from a local rumor into one of the world's most credible UFO cases. Skeptics, however, were quick to offer more mundane explanations for the events. The most popular skeptical theory involves the Orford Ness Lighthouse. This lighthouse was located several miles away, in the direction of the initial sightings. Skeptics argue that the airmen, unfamiliar with the area, mistook the lighthouse beam for a craft. They suggest the light, refracted by trees and atmosphere, could appear to move and pulse. Another theory suggests the initial descending light was a bright meteor that was seen over southern England at the time. The ground indentations have been dismissed by some as simple rabbit diggings. The marks on the trees could have been caused by foresters, not a mysterious craft. However, the key witnesses have always vehemently rejected these explanations. Halt and his team were trained observers who were familiar with the lighthouse. Halt has stated that they saw both the lighthouse and the separate, unidentified object. He insists the object moved in ways that a lighthouse beam simply could not. The mystery deepened years later, with revelations from Sergeant Peniston. He finally had the binary code he received from the craft translated. The message was cryptic, speaking of exploration of humanity and giving a series of coordinates. These coordinates pointed to ancient sites around the world, like the pyramids of Giza and the Nazca lines. The message also contained a mysterious origin year, 8100. This led to speculation that the craft was not from another planet, but from our own future. The binary code added a bizarre and controversial layer to an already complex case. Other witnesses have also come forward over the years with their own corroborating stories. Some have claimed there was a second, unreported landing involving non-human entities. These later claims are more controversial and less substantiated than the initial events. The British Ministry of Defence officially concluded the events posed no threat to national security. They stated that the sightings were not of defense significance. However, many files related to the incident have been reported as conveniently lost or destroyed. This has fueled widespread speculation of an official cover-up by both the US and UK governments. Today, Rendlesham Forest has embraced its strange history. Forestry England has created a UFO trail for tourists to follow the path of the witnesses. A large, metallic sculpture representing the triangular craft stands in the clearing. The incident continues to be the subject of countless books, documentaries, and heated debates. Credibility of the military witnesses makes the case exceptionally compelling. These were not casual observers. They were trained professionals responsible for nuclear assets. Was it a genuine encounter with an extraterrestrial or extratemporal intelligence? Was it a series of misidentifications of mundane phenomena, amplified by Cold War paranoia? Or could it have been an advanced, secret military craft being tested on unsuspecting personnel? The definitive answer remains elusive, buried in the pines of Suffolk. The silence of the forest holds the truth of what happened in December 1980. The airmen involved were left with memories that would shape the rest of their lives. Their detailed and consistent testimonies form the bedrock of the Rendlesham legend. The physical evidence, from ground traces to radiation, adds another layer of intrigue. The halt tape provides a chilling, real-time account of the second night's events. Listening to the tape, one can hear the genuine confusion and awe in the men's voices. The incident occurred over multiple nights, involving dozens of witnesses. This was not a fleeting glimpse, but a prolonged and interactive encounter. The object's apparent interest in the weapons storage area remains a disturbing element. It suggests an intelligence that was aware of the base's strategic importance. The symbols on the craft, as described by Peniston, have never been decoded by conventional means. They remain a tantalizing clue to the object's origin and purpose. The binary code message, if true, opens up even more fantastic possibilities. Would humanity have been visited by its own descendants? The Rendlesham Forest Incident is a puzzle with too many pieces that don't fit. Each explanation, whether skeptical or extraordinary, leaves some evidence unaccounted for. If it was the lighthouse, what about the radiation and the halt tape? If it was a secret craft, why test it so brazenly near a sensitive military base? And if it was extraterrestrial, why reveal itself in such an ambiguous way? The story endures because it is a perfect mystery, rich in detail and short on answers. Challenges our understanding of the world and our place within it. The events of 1980 left an indelible mark on the landscape and the people involved. The forest keeps its secrets, whispering them only to the wind that blows through the pines. The world was on the brink of a new decade, unaware of the strange tale unfolding in Suffolk. The initial report was filed with a sense of duty mixed with profound confusion. Airman Burroughs also got close to the object, corroborating Peniston's description. The static electricity in the air around the craft was palpable, making their hair stand on end. Time itself seemed to slow down or distort in the immediate vicinity of the object. Peniston's notebook became a key artifact, a direct record from the scene. The base command was initially dismissive, attributing the report to stress or imagination. The persistence of the lights and the seniority of Colonel Halt changed their perspective. Alt's team included a disaster preparedness expert, adding to the credibility of the investigation. The object seen on the second night was different, more energetic and mobile. It seemed to be observing the base, a fact that deeply troubled Colonel Halt. The beam of light it projected was solid, like a tangible rod of energy. The incident was quickly classified, and all personnel involved were debriefed and sworn to secrecy. For many years, the airmen did not speak of what they saw, fearing ridicule and career damage. The release of the Halt memo was the crack in the dam of secrecy. It gave other witnesses the courage to come forward and share their own experiences. The case represents a rare instance of a UFO event with multiple, high-ranking military witnesses and physical evidence. It remains a cornerstone of UFO research and a benchmark for credible sightings.